We've got a bit of a treat today for the camera nerds, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to go over how I got the shots for a advertisement that I did for Chesney Bridal, and it's about a 1 minute short reel that we put together for her advertising for the new season of the bridal gowns. And there were some very, very beautiful dresses that were featured in the reel, and also the photos. And the makeup was beautiful by Renata, and the hair was beautiful by T. So we had some really professional people involved, and the final product came out absolutely beautiful. So we're going to go through it. Now, the first photo, it opens up with the bride out of focus, the model, should I say, Jessica, out of focus. And we've got some bubbles falling down. And I wanted to do this because I brought my bubble guns along, and me being the biggest kid you've ever met, I had to play with the bubble guns. So what I did is I used an 85mm. Actually, it would have been, I think I had on my Canon, so it would have been around about 130mm in equivalent to full frame lens. And I set it up, and what I wanted to do is I wanted the model or the bride to be out of focus, but not enough though you couldn't recognize that she was a bride, like not blown out, right? And then I used my monopod to set a position in between where I could focus to make sure the bubbles, when I run the bubble guns, that the bubbles would be in focus. And that's how I did the first shot. So what we did is I started the camera in slow motion, and then I got lots of bubbles going and let them fall down where the monopod had been set up, where I set the focal point, and then obviously you see the bubbles falling down the screen, and Jessica was in the background. The second shot was done not actually in the studio. It was actually done at the makeup artist's house, Renata, where she actually has this beautiful room all set up where she does all the makeup. And the makeup was pretty much finalized, and Renata was just using I think you call it a lipstick pencil, and she was just lining the lips with the lipstick pencil. And I think it was a 50mm I had on my C70, and we had some lights shining as well, slightly backlit with a Tuscan type light, and she basically, Renata was just doing it, and I filmed that in slow motion as well, but in 50 frames, not really slow motion. And as she was applying the lips, that's how we got that shot. And it's a fairly close-up shot. It crops her face out, so it has a lot of impact. So we're going from the bubbles to quite a close shot of the model just having her final makeup completed. The next shot was a shot that Chesney wanted to get, where we were swinging the model around, or the bride around, and of course the gown flies out. It's thrown out as the model is spinning, and of course, you know, this really features a dress and really shows off how this dress, how the feel and the lightness, and how the material kind of performs when you're swinging. So she did this, and Jessica spun, and it was about a medium shot. I can't remember what lens I had on the camera, but it was about a medium shot. Maybe it was about a 35, maybe it was my 50 a little bit further back. And when we was in the studio, there were some lights provided. I didn't use my specific lights to light this because they had some beautiful lights. I think they're around about 300 watts with a box, a rectangular box type soft box on them, lighting the model. And on the other side, we had a newer panel with a Tuscan type light, you know, like a warmer light on the other side, putting some color into the image. The next shot was one that I wanted to do to change up the medium or wider shots to a very, very close. I wanted a very, very close shot of Jessica, the model, because it kind of brings you intimate to the person, and you really see the eye detail, and you really relate to that person who's in that bridal dress. It's not just like seeing some lady standing in a dress like you normally see. It brings that personal feeling to it, so you can relate to the person wearing the dress, not just the dress itself. So what I did here is I used 85mm, and I kind of set it to as close focus as I could before it wouldn't focus. And in the shot, it looks like the veil is floating in the wind in front of Jessica's face, but that's not actually what was happening. I was actually holding the veil, and it was quite a long way away from her, and I was waving it like this in front of the camera. And the effect that it gives, because of the 85mm and the compression of the lens, it makes it looks like the veil is much closer to Jessica or the bride than it really is. It's actually quite a long way away from her, probably at least an arm's length away from her. So it gives that appearance that she's holding it or the wind's blowing it in front of her. So it gives that really nice reveal effect of her eyes and her face. I wanted to have that kind of bust shot, the shot that looks like your normal typical type painting shot, right? Very, very typical distance. It's not the whole dress, but you're getting part of the top of the dress here, and it's that medium shot. So you kind of, I use it more like in this specific reel as a transition shot to the next shot. So instead of going from one that was really close to something that's a whole new feature, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, I wanted to have that normal feature shot of just her smiling and moving her head. So that was the next shot we did. And on the side, you can see that there is a red tint in her veil, and that is from again, we had like a warmer light coming from the side just to give a little bit more color there instead of it just being so white. The next shot, it was one of the feature shots we did on the day, and everyone was pretty excited to do it, and everyone had the cameras out, and it was a bit of a first for us and a bit of a first for me, because normally you can't do these sorts of shots at weddings, and it's that shot where you do the veil drop over the top of the bride or the model. And the reason why you can't normally do them at weddings is because, one, you haven't got the space in the getting ready area, or you haven't got 4 people with you to hold the veil, because you need each person to hold a corner of the veil and not be on the bride. So we had the people, right? So we had all of the stuff to do it, and we got the 4 people there, and we go, okay then, and Chesney was the managing person for the veil, because she's obviously knows this sort of material and everything like the back of her hand. And then they flicked it up, and then we just let it fall over Jessica, who was acting as the bride, and we just filmed that in slow motion, and it came out really, really good. So that's kind of one of the feature shots in the reel that we wanted to put in. The next shot is basically the extension of the story of the veil falling over Jessica's head, which was the model. And we seeing the bride now with the veil over her head, and she's holding like a flower arrangement as well. So she's looking at her flower arrangement, and we've also got a light from the side which has a warmer feel, and it's hitting the veil, and of course it's reflecting some of that light back off the veil. So we're getting this really nice, beautifully warm image from that light bouncing off the veil, and I think it's a really nice transition from the veil falling onto her head to her now having the veil over her head with that nice, warm, inviting color. The next shot that we did was basically on a different part of the studio, and they had a little lounge suite with a curtain behind, and it was a different dress. We got Jessica to change the dress to a different gown that Chesney wanted to basically show to her clients. So she did the change, and we got her to see a little bit differently, and she was also wearing different earrings. And I used my light in this case, and what I did is I used a 80-watt light with an umbrella. So the light was bounced off the umbrella at Jessica, and that's how we got the soft light in this application here. The next shot was where I was using my gimbal. I had another camera which I had already mounted on the gimbal, and I wanted to get a higher shot because we were doing some photos where Jessica was very low down and we had the dress spread out around her. So, that typical look of where you see a lot of the dress and it's quite a low shot. So I wanted the gimbal to be above her, and I wanted to get like a pulling away shot of Jessica sitting down on the floor. So that's what we did, and obviously the photographer was getting her photos. So the next shot is basically a pull away shot, and with the lens not keeping up with the speed of the gimbal moving away from her, then it sort of starts to go out of focus. And I added a little bit more in post to give that sort of effect that she's disappearing into the distance as the gimbal's moving away. The final shot of this reel, we actually left the studio and we went down to Herdsman Parade, and there's an area there like an equestrian centre that they have for horses, but of course it wasn't being used, and the sun was pretty low. It was kind of like a sunset shot. The sun was pretty low in the sky, and it was a bit more of a warmer colour. So what we did is we got some shots, and we got some shots of Jessica running in the wedding dress. That look you have where it's in slow motion, and she's basically looks like she's bouncing across the grass, and she's looking back. She could be looking back at her groom, or she's looking back at saying goodbye to single life, because now she's going into a partnership with someone. And that's the sort of shot we wanted to do. So we got Jessica to run, and then was telling her like now look back, look back, look back. And of course she had to be careful because the grass wasn't that short, like she didn't trip over. And then she looks back over her shoulder. But I wanted to emphasize the fact that this shot was very different, because it was like she's either leaving something or she's going towards something. And we had the sun behind her as she was running. And so what I did is I put like a film spool on it, and I added a filter, like a film filter onto it, which was much more golden, to give that kind of that light that you have as the sun's disappearing over the horizon. And that's the final shot. And then what we did is I just put it all together.